Welcome Year 8 to the third tutorial on your portraiture work. Now, as you can see in the previous two tutorials, we've worked on tones and we've worked on tints. So remember, a tint is a colour plus white, whereas a tone, or a shade is a colour plus black. So what I'm going to finish off now with this piece of work is I'm going to decide on what colours I'm going to do in the background and then start applying that on a gradient. So gradient girls will go from light to a mid shade, and you'll see me gradually adding in larger amounts of white as I mix up the colours. So what I've got with me today is one of these. These are fantastic, a colour swatch, and you used to be able to get these from painters and decorators, and they're brilliant in just popping them against your work just to check what works out nicely. Now I've got a number of different colour combinations. I don't want something too similar because they're too harmonious. I want something with a little bit more of a complementary shade or a bit more contrasting. So particularly for me today, I really like this hot pink against these lime greens. So I'm going to mix up that. So I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to pop this to one side as well because I won't now need my reference sheet as I'm working in the background. So on here now, I'm going to build up either from the mid to the light or from the mid to the light that way. And I'm going to decide today, I'm probably going to go for a strong colour here and then fade it up at the top there to white. I'm going to remove that little bit of masking tape, over we go, and I'm going to start applying this. So flat colour first of all, Now do make sure before you start painting that your palette's fairly clean. Again, avoid adding too much water. I'm going to do this side first. So gradually and carefully add in your work. You'll also notice in comparison to the previous tutorial, I'm using quite a thick brush, and that's because I'm working on a larger area. I think in the last tutorial I wanted maybe a size 3 brush, but now I'm going for quite a big brush. It's an 8 size brush, so it's really useful for when blocking in large amounts of colour. I'm thinking probably at the end of this I'm going to trim this actually down. I don't really want a floating in the middle, so I'm going to trim that down, so I'm not going to paint anything down there. So I've added in quite a lot of my solid mid-tone here. I've not added any whites or any black, and now I'm going to start introducing some white. So I'm going to clean my brush. Again, half pots of water, girls, so you don't knock it over. Then get rid of all the excess moisture, otherwise you'll end up with a very, very ruddy piece of work. Over here, I'm going to start adding gradual amounts of white. Now you will notice that there might not be a big difference when you first start mixing these up. And you may say, oh, they don't look very similar, but they will do. They will start to fade out if you bear with it. So clean my brush again, scrape off the excess, squeeze out the moisture, and gradually add a little bit more. So remember, we're working on our tint here, girls, so a tint, and apply again to the surface. Mind the edges of your work, that's where you're going to go the slowest, and then over here you can really sort of block that in. You'll notice with my paintbrush, girls, I'm trying to keep the direction in one direction. Think of that amazing band. And you'll be able to get in nice straight lines as you work in. Wash again, and then you can add in more whites, and slowly you can build that up. And you can see, I'm not going to finish this today, but you can see that kind of gradient that you get with your work, which goes from, you can see the mids, right up to the top. Okay, that concludes our third tutorial. Thank you.